Board, Mr. Secretary Kobach, Attorney General Schmidt, and Lieutenant Governor Collier for holding this hearing. My interest here is in upholding and restoring the rule of law and the Constitution of the United States, which in Article 2 requires a person to be a natural-born citizen in order to be eligible for the office of President. There have been several legal challenges to President Barack.Obama, all brushed aside for very inconsistent legal reasons, under the false presumption that it's sufficient just to be born in this country in order to be a natural-born citizen, or by denying legal standing to average citizens, or by hiding behind jurisdictional hurdles and excuses. Fortunately, Kansas law allows this challenge today. I have cited in a legal brief 8 Supreme Court decisions that have consistently and correctly defined natural-born citizens as those persons who are born in the country to citizen parents. They make a material distinction here about the parents being citizens, with solitary allegiance to one country, which excludes dual citizenship, and it says not subject to any foreign power. 3 of these decisions specifically tie this Article 2 eligibility under the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. We can't just ignore the parts of the Constitution that some people don't like or think is outdated. The way to change it is to amend it. Otherwise, our rule of law is eroded. The Supreme Court has ultimate authority to resolve controversies arising under the Constitution, so its decisions and precedents must be followed. Of the 8 decisions I cited, 4 of them are unanimous, which means 27 different Supreme Court justices agreed that the 14th Amendment does not say nor define who shall be natural-born citizens, citing again a material difference, while the real definition is found outside of the Constitution. These justices turn to the definition known to the framers of the Constitution, who themselves understood a person could be born on U.S. soil but not be a U.S. citizen because of the parent's foreign citizenship, specifically the father. These principles were summed up in the 1875 Minor versus Happersett decision, making a positive, exclusive declaration which said, at common law, with the nomenclature with the framers of the Constitution were familiar, it was never doubted that all children born in a country of parents who were citizens became themselves upon their birth citizens also. These were natives, or natural-born citizens, as distinguished from aliens or foreigners. Mr. Obama's counsel, or rather the counsel for Obama for America, Mr. Kip Wainscott, points only to one Supreme Court decision and cites a phrase that does not specify the constitutional term natural-born citizen. He ignores that the citation includes a qualifying phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which the Supreme Court said was satisfied only when the parents are resident aliens with permanent residence in the United States. Counsel for Mr. Obama also provides incomplete research, ignoring that Justice Gray cited the Minor versus Happersett decision very clearly, saying that the Constitution, i.e. the 14th Amendment, does not say who shall be natural-born citizens, and they ignore that the Ark decision quotes and affirms the Minor definition of natural-born citizen verbatim, which is in the briefs. Mr. Wainscott footnotes a citation of U.S. v. Marguerite Pilato, a circuit court decision that doesn't give any legal basis for the conclusion that a natural-born citizen is any person born in the United States. Even relying on Juan Piamart, the Supreme Court made citizenship exceptions based on whether parents are resident aliens. Mr. Obama's counsel footnotes dicta from a state appeals court that, in my brief, proved they made a legally unsupported conclusion from the Wong Kim Ark decision, the citation of which can only establish that Mr. Obama is a citizen of the United States, which is fine for eligibility in Congress, but Article 2, presidential eligibility, requires the higher standard of natural-born citizen. A state appeals court in Indiana that divines invisible guidance does not trump multiple unanimous Supreme Court precedents. The mistakes made by other states, other courts, other legal bodies do not provide the legal precedent for repeating those same mistakes. In 1913, in Luria versus United States, the court pointed directly to the Minor versus Happersett decision and 2 other decisions in defining presidential eligibility. It does not cite the Wong Kim Ark decision. This is compelling because it affirms that natural-born citizenship is not and cannot be defined simply through the 14th Amendment, and it is not defined by the Wong Kim Ark decision. Under both the Minor and Ark decisions, for any persons born in this country of mixed or alien parents, there are citizenship doubts that have to be resolved. As for Mr. Obama's citizenship, there are plenty of doubts. Again, the ARC decision required the parents to be resident aliens with permanent residence and domicile in the United States to satisfy the subject clause of the 14th Amendment. Mr. Obama's father, a Kenyan native and British subject, was not a resident alien. He and his wife did not have permanent residence and domicile in the United States. His father never became...
That's the end of your 5 minutes. How much more time do you need to summarize?
A minute and a half.
Okay. Second.
His father never became a U.S. citizen, and he was, in fact, told to leave this country in 1964, remaining a British subject and Kenyan subject, meaning his children are by law British subjects. His mother, who appears to be a citizen at the time of Mr. Obama's birth, but there's no evidence to prove this point, she married not just one, but 2 different foreign nationals, both with the intention of emigrating from the United States. Her allegiance to this country is tenuous and unproven, especially considering that she moved her child to Indonesia, where he was listed as an Indonesian citizen named Barry Sotoro. Finally, Mr. Obama's counsel points to invisible public records that demonstrate Mr. Obama was allegedly born in Hawaii, but there is no certified legal documentation provided by his counsel. The federal rules of evidence consider certified documentation to be self-authenticating, but only when submitted to a legal body for inspection by all parties for authenticity. Let's see hard copies of certified legal documentation. I've found several public records that list other places of birth. I'm not here to challenge his place of birth. Regardless, we have 8 Supreme Court decisions that define natural-born citizens in a way that means Mr. Obama is not and cannot be eligible for president. Doing the right thing can be hard and unpopular, but I'm calling on our Kansas Objections Board to follow the Supreme Court precedent from these 8 decisions. Please disqualify Mr. Obama's certificate of nomination on the basis of ineligibility. Please ensure he is not listed for president on any Kansas general election ballot, nor should any votes for him be counted from either the voters or the state's electoral college. Please uphold our nation's rule of law. Thank you.